Shambuk, is great to have you guys. We actually have the star of the show tonight, Shambuk, with us. So we're gonna start the discussion. You guys gone through any screening or testing yourself? I know Rohan. I know he's driving this with me. Or Abby, how about you? Have you got any of screening or testing when it comes to yourself? Because I know, of course, you were a player and still are a player. Okay, like all of us are. But of course, you as a coach now, have you done any screening and testing before?
No, nobody has done with me when I was a player.
Fair enough. Okay. And this is something that we're missing. So today we're going to show you how to screen the players and how to start the conversation with testing. All right. So this is truly how you get to know the player. Little now, backstory now is have Shambu coming with us from India here to Thailand, being with us for 2 months. I've seen Shambu for months. We worked before together in a team atmosphere when it comes to a group of ITF. Now we are working individually with him comes to everything. Physical, his mental, his tactical, on and off court to make sure he's a whole holistic player. So again, I've not seen him for 8 months, so I cannot go back and say I cannot go today and say this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. I have to understand and learn the he's a brand new player to me. I have a good idea of what he used to do before, but I don't know anymore. The other fact is now I'm taking care of the whole physical component because, of course, we're not working with the whole entire team. You might say, well, how does that have to do with me? Maybe I'm not dealing with the physical component. Yes, but the physical is going to affect the on-court stuff that you do with the player. The physical will affect the on-court contents you do with the player. And we're going to get back to this. Right? So what is screening and what is testing? Any idea what screening is?
I think it's done before the testing.
It's absolutely done before the testing. The screening really is just a to picture and literally you take pictures, okay? And you do more stuff than that, but you literally take pictures of how anatomically the player looks like. What is it that they're doing? What is it that they look like when you put them into a position? Okay, what is it that they're going to what is it that they're going to look like when it comes to balances and imbalances? Can they form an action and actually stay in the quote unquote anatomically correct position? Or are they off balance? Do they have now are they overdeveloped on one side of the body or the other, which a lot of our athletes, of course, are? So here's a question for you guys. Where do you think tennis players, because again, this is a player that's played for a long time, and we see screening, where do you think tennis players are mostly overdeveloped and mostly underdeveloped?
It's like on the dominant side. It's suppose I'm a lefty, my dominant hand will be more developed as compared to my right hand.
Okay, so you're left because again, and Abby, you're a lefty. So right, the left arm is going to be more overdeveloped for you, right? And of course, the right arm is going to be a little bit more underdeveloped. Now, here's another question for you: Is you play two hands or one hand?
Backhand?
Yeah, it's the back end. I apologize. You play in the back end two hands, okay, or one
Yes,
hand.
two hands.
And even you say, well, my left side is going to be more overdeveloped than my right. Think about the players that play a one hand the back end, like me. Then you truly have some underdevelopment when it comes to one arm or the other. Now, here's the next question for you. Why is that such an issue? Why can't we just say an issue with having an imbalance when it comes to the body?
Because maybe we're focusing on few muscles, not developing all the all of them equally, neglecting the we neglect the other areas sometimes.
Yes, but why is that? You're completely correct. But why is this so important?
Because it will put load on the same muscle again and again and again and cause injury.
Okay, when you overload on one muscle, okay, over and over again, it now the piece that people forget a lot of times is if you overload one muscle, absolutely can create an overuse injury, But what happens to the other side? What happens to the other? Does the injury rate also increased if it's not developed? Of course it is. And that's something people forget. It's, of course, if you right now, imagine like you said, you are playing, you're playing your backhand, and your left arm is going to be overdeveloped over your right arm. When you make contact and you have one side that's overdeveloped and the other one that's underdeveloped, both of them are at risk, not just one, both. So this is the aspect that you're trying to get as balanced as possible. Now, again, this is almost an impossible task. It's very, very difficult, but it doesn't mean we stop trying. We have to make sure we understand how to balance the players. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to put two screens up because I'm going to try to share a couple of things with you. So this now we see this is Shambuk, okay, and this is actually the star of the show, and he's here with us tonight. Something that we talked about before. He's a very comfortable young man. He's 16 years old. Of course, this is with with his permission, parents' permission. They trust, they understand. And so this is something when you're talking to the player, you do have to be careful with this as well. We do this a little bit more with the older players, or if we do a screening like this, we do this with the younger ones with the parent there. So keep that in mind. Make sure we understand that the parent should be there. Okay. Now, in his case, is a little bit older. We get consent, okay, to make sure we're able to do something like this. With women, okay, then when we do an evaluation, we really have them on their sports bra. So we're able to see, you'll see this later, their scapula and their shoulders, okay, to see exactly where they're at. So again, you have to make sure that A, the player is comfortable, and B, when you talk to the parent, the guardian, that they're, of course, they're comfortable, and hopefully they can be there with you to do this. When you do this, you do want to also do it. We used to do a lot of screening actually on the court so other people can see you. You as a coach do not want to put yourself in a private room doing something like this. Keep this in mind. This is to protect you. Okay.
In order to create a balance, all the area of the body, the coach needs to know anatomy also, right?
Absolutely. Okay. If you know anatomy, it's going to help you tremendously. It's going to help you tremendously. And again, and you don't have to be a full-on expert when it comes to everything. That's not the idea. The idea is for us to know exactly what muscle groups are important where. And if there are technical deficiencies, are there technical deficiencies because of technique, so skill, or are they technical deficiencies because of the physical inability to do certain things? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so for example, we spend a lot of times, we saw this even today. Coaches spend a lot of times on the toss, on the toss, on the toss, on the toss. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's incredible. Such a waste of time. Instead of understanding, for example, Wushambu is a perfect example. We'll show you his serve a bit. Okay, that he actually struggled loading on the right glutes to put himself back into equilibrium, where then he can actually go up and meet this. So he struggled with the center mass. The moment he tossed, everything went forward. So the center of mass then also went forward. It went away from the body, okay, in two directions, okay, sideways. So imagine the baseline's here. It's going this way, and it's also going towards his left. This is why tosses, when you see players, they toss actually in front of them and to the right as right-handers. For you, Abby, it'll be you'll toss the ball, okay? You'll toss the ball towards your left, and it'll go that way. And then when you try to overcompensate, then you start tossing the ball behind. At the end, it's not a tossing issue, it's a loading issue. So there is not a technical issue, it's a physical issue. Now, there's a difference, of course, with beginner players. If they're bending the elbow or rolling the wrist, then of course it can be a tossing issue where they just do not understand the releasing arm yet. But once they get that, and most players or most athletes get that pretty quickly, you have to move on. Okay, we've all done this. We're all guilty of it. Where you put a racket down, you toss and let the ball fall. That is an absolute waste of time. Unless it's a pure beginner, understanding how the mechanics of the arm work, that's all you should be working on the toss. The rest of it should be, can you toss with one side, of course, and can you load on the other side? That way you put yourself in the center of mass between your head and your ass in one single, okay, in equilibrium. That'll be the idea. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so getting back to screening, you look at a player like you see like Shambuk. Shambuk's a very, very good player. Okay, like we said, an ITF player. But here you see him, and you might say, well, what does this tell me as a coach? Right now, I see a lot of good things, but also I see a lot of things that are going to be discrepancies for him to play really well. Okay, I want you to spend 20 seconds here and start thinking about what are some imbalances that you see in his body. What are some things here that you're like, oh, you scratch your head and said, maybe this is not the best thing? Again, we want to highlight the good things, but let's get to the meat and potatoes of this today. Because he's got some very good things, but like we said, he's got some things he's got to work on. What do we think?
I can see his body is little bit shifted towards the right side.
That's very interesting. You think his body shifted a little bit more towards the right side. What makes you say that, Abby? I would agree with. What makes you say that?
Because I think maybe he's a right-handed player.
Ah, very interesting. Keep going with these ideas. This is really good stuff, Abhilasha. Keep going.
Yes, this left shoulder is up.
The left shoulder is above the right. Oof.
His elbow is like I can see the more space on the right side as
Okay.
left.
I would agree. Maybe it's a little bit of the angle that we took it at too. Okay. So make sure, of course, you do this really well. I would agree though. Okay. All right. Now here's a question for you. As you take a look at this, and you gave us some really good information, how does that affect what you do on and off the court with this player? And let's really take it on the court first. So you look at him, you say, okay, he's shifting over to the right side. The right shoulder is a little bit lower. Okay. From there, how does this affect his playing ability?
His lower part of the body, his legs are bending on the left side, the right one.
The right leg is actually collapsing inside. This is why, by far, one of the most important pictures, okay, screenings you can do with a player. This happens with most players. They're underdeveloped when it comes to the hips and when it comes to the glutes. Okay, and we're going to get to this in a little bit. All right, so let me actual screening here. This again, we do for all the high-level players. Okay, this is his front side. You see his picture right here. Okay, and now to Abby's point, okay, can you guys see okay or no? You notice the right shoulder, just like you said, okay, Abby, and for the rest of the coaches here, do you notice the right shoulder is down a little bit compared to his left? Wait, he's a right-handed player. Keep this in mind. When you look at your higher level players, most of them, okay, are going to be, as they're there, they're going to have the right shoulder. You see, like even me, I'm trying to stay with good posture here for the video, and you see me right, okay, I'm completely like this, okay? Completely overloaded here because of so much internal rotation that we do with our strokes. Think about how the shoulder moves with the ball and socket joint. Think about our forehands. Here, of course, Abby, you be the reverse, you be your backhand. Huh? Think about the serve. Okay, what a lot of coaches call pronation. Again, it's not pronation, it's internal rotation of the shoulder. We're rotating the shoulder inside, okay, going into the body. So this is where it becomes very, very tight when it comes to his major pectoral. It becomes very, very tight when it comes to the traps and the lats. So now we have to make sure we actually have range of motion where he's actually able to release this. This is why flexibility is so important. So then as he loosens up the muscles and the tendons and the joint itself, all of the area, then he's able to level out a little bit more. Very, very difficult to do with a tennis player. Like we said, we over use one side of the body compared to the other. So when you look at him and you see someone like him, he's still okay. Now, this is where we have to keep an eye on him. But then you look at someone like me, who's hit by a million more balls than he has, literally, and have not taken care of myself. Now, especially as an old man, you see how my shoulder droops. Okay, so this is what we call shoulder drooping, okay, a drooping shoulder. So now as we do his screening, you see some of the stuff that we put in there. The right shoulder is drooping. Could be a depressed scapula on the right side. Now you might say, as a tennis coach, what are you talking about? This information or this language is too high for me. No, it's not. We have to know these are basics. These are basics. Because the right shoulder is down, this might mean that there's a depressed scapula. Depressed scapula means that the scapula itself, the shoulder blade, is also down. This is going to affect the range of motion when he serves. So if we go out there and are trying to correct the toss, and we're trying to correct, okay, the other aspect is the elbow not dropping, without understanding his body, you're wasting time. And at the end, the player will struggle correcting this. If anything, they'll get worse. You'll get more frustrated at the player. The player's going to get frustrated with you. And guess what happens to the relationship? The trust starts to dissipate. It starts to disappear. We have to understand what the primary problem is, and we have to understand what the primary solution is. For him right now, the primary problem is we're dropping the shoulder. Let me show you what a depressed scapula looks like. You see his back? You see, this is the shoulder blade right here. You notice the left, you notice the right. The right is more pronounced, but look the bottom of the shoulder blade to the left. And look, if I draw a straight line, it reaches kind of the middle of the shoulder blade. You see the shoulder, like we said, is down.
So,
now
on the right side, it is more developed.
Yeah, it's overdeveloped. And it's overdeveloped parts of it. No, let me take this back. I'm so sorry, Abby. The back is actually underdeveloped on the right side. If you were to say the interior, so his right pectoral, okay, right here, this is overdeveloped. When it comes to part of the pectoral is overdeveloped. The shoulder's overdeveloped. You're going to see something called rounded shoulder. Okay. So from here now, the scapula actually doesn't pull up, it pulls down. It's weak. Okay. The back muscles, the lats and the traps, do not allow the scapula to come up. So in other words, the imbalance between the front and the back have made now that shoulder blade very weak, and it depresses, it comes down. Does that make sense? This will affect the serve. So now, what are some simple exercises we can do? Give me some I's, some Y's, some T's, some W's. Anything you're working to make sure you really build the scapula, you build strength and stability in the scapula. This is something that has to go into his planning. So again, for a player now coming over and says, I need to work on my serve, before I ever looked at a serve, we want to look at a screening. We want to see as an athlete and a tennis-specific athlete, where is he at?
But if the coach doesn't have expertise in screening and testing, then
this is why then they're wasting their time. This is the issue. This is the issue. This is why you're here, Abby. I think Harsh is with us, Rohan's with us, Shambuk's with us. I know Pau and Thomas are going to be watching this video later on. This is why you guys are separating yourselves. Yeah, I'll give you a quick story as we move on. I was down in Germany. I won't say where. This is years ago, though. And we're at this very famous academy. And I saw the coach, and the coach meant well. I thought he was a good coach. But he was working, actually, believe it or not, with an Indian player, lefty female. And they were getting very frustrated because as she tossed the ball, the loading arm and the loading pace came down. She was a lefty like you, Abby. And as she tossed, the elbow came down. And all he was telling her the whole time was, keep the elbow up, keep the elbow up, keep the elbow up. Guess what? Anatomically and biomechanically, she couldn't do it. If you were to have her screen, if she were to take her shirt off and do the screening there, I guarantee you there would have been depression on the left scapula. There would have been. The left scapula is underdeveloped, the whole shoulder area. So now you see the player, or excuse me, the coach started to actually raise his voice at the player. The player did not feel good, and you can tell she was very, very upset. So you know the relationship, most likely at least that day, was not good. And who knows if it led on to a future point in time where they're still working or not. But it was not a good day for them at all because the coach did not understand this. This is why now a tennis coach, on the court coach, better know the physical components of screening. Because if you do not know it, you are doing a whole disservice to yourself as a coach for the information you want to give to the player. And of course, you're doing a whole disservice to the player because you're wasting their time.
What about hiring strength and conditioning and then physiotherapist? And
Absolutely. Absolutely. We tied our strength conditioning team. We brought in physios and, of course, the tennis coaches. And guess what we did? We all trained together. When we had meetings, you and I talked about this. Okay? We had a total of 3 meetings per week. Okay? One of them, everybody had to be present. Everybody. Because the strength conditioning coaches to us are not strength conditioning coaches alone. A strength conditioning coach that does not specialize in tennis, to me, is pretty much a waste. So sorry, it is. Because they do not understand the tennis body, they do not understand the tennis needs, and then they're not able to put a curriculum together to make sure you train the tennis athlete the same, the correct way. We called our strength conditioning coaches, they were tennis coaches also. That's what we call them. Our physio was a physio specialized in tennis. But at the end, they were all tennis coaches. So if you have the ability and the atmosphere to really get a team like that, that is the world. It is awesome. It is utopia. But let's face it, most of us don't have that ability to get a repertoire of all these specialists in one team. We don't. So this is why.
As you said, even we hire strength and conditioning coach and physio. Maybe they will not. There is no guarantee that they have expertise in tennis. So coach needs to know.
Absolutely. This is why when strength conditioning coaches come to me, and I've had a lot of them that want to jump on these webinars, say, well, I can talk about this. I'm like, don't waste my time. Do not waste the coaches that are here. Do not go out there and waste the players' times that are going to watch this later on. Sorry, you're a general strength and conditioning coach. That is not good here. Now,